Who sang that? Oz never did give nothing to the Tin Man. That's a song.
America.
Nice. Hey, welcome to episode 2 of The Ascertainers, a Generation Jones perspective. I am Jim. That is Mark.
Hey, how are you? Welcome back.
I don't think they can reply, but there's probably people listening to this probably do. So anyhow, this is episode 2. We decided that we would come back and try another. We had, sorry, I'm trying not to say, I'm doing a poor job at that. So every time I do that, I will have to take a drink.
We could put a dog collar on you. I could zap you.
That would actually be somewhat fun, I think.
Another dog collar.
Yes. Well, yeah, I wear this one because it goes well with my belt. But so on episode 1, we learned that on our YouTube distribution, which isn't really a thing, we had 50 views or listens, and then we're out on Buzzsprout, and
Correct.
We had how many on there?
9 on there
9.
so far.
So if you're listening to this, you are in exclusive company, and if you could tell your friends about it, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, the money's rolling in.
Yeah, it sure is. So it's been a couple weeks, Mark. Have you done anything interesting that people might want to know about in the last 2 weeks?
No,
That's good.
I did go to a concert at the Lakeville Arts Center.
Oh, that place. We
Yes.
talked about that in episode 1.
We did.
I got to stop you right before this, because what was the best feedback that you heard from the people that listened to episode 1? What was it they said about us, that they loved all the stuff we talked about?
No, they really didn't listen to what we were talking about. They were more listening to our silly banter with each other that were, I don't know, brothers that don't get along that well all the time. I don't know how to describe it.
Wow, that's actually touching.
Is it?
Not like that. Different definition of touching, Mark. Get over on your side of the table. So that's interesting. So I think that all the things that I thought that would be really meaningful and educational, and it doesn't matter. I just got to wait for you to say something that I disagree with, and I can just jump on you, and it'll take care of itself.
Yeah, but I don't say anything that's wrong.
Okay. So,
I've never been wrong, but I haven't always been right.
Oh, that's also a song, isn't it?
I don't know.
No, that's If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right. And I don't know who sang that one, so that's shame on me. But you said you went somewhere to the Lakeville Arts Center.
Yeah, saw Johnny James and the Hall of Famers
Nice.
doing a Queen tribute. So, yeah.
Set, concert.
Thank you.
That doesn't sound like the name of a band that would be doing Queen. That sounds like a name of a band that would be doing like the Stylistics or.
Well, they do. They're a local band, and they do, Great Britain music. They'll do the Who concerts, and
Okay.
they did Pink Floyd, which was a good concert because they had the Dark Side of the Moon to the Wizard of
Yeah,
Oz.
you talked about that in episode 1, actually.
So that was fun.
Thanks for inviting me.
Well, you went to a concert on the same night,
It's true. I'll tell you about that one in a sec.
and the weather was bad, so
It was a blizzard. It was March 31st in Minnesota. We got, well, basically overnight turning into April 1st. Our April Fool's Day was, I think we had 7 inches of just nasty,
Yes.
heavy snow.
wet, heavy,
So-
and the roads were bad. But it was good. It wasn't as good as Nick Sterling. We talked about that last time.
Mhm.
But they do a good job.
Good.
It was fun.
Good. Are you a big Queen fan? Or
I'm not.
just- okay, so you went to it because you knew it would be a good show, and
No more than I don't have a life. So I wasn't
well,
doing anything that night.
I really felt like I teed that one up a little too high for you there. I was going to say that, and I was. Wow, you flipped the script on me. That's
Sorry.
I don't know what to do now. I'm backpedaling, but
But
everybody.
unfortunately, that venue when I first started going to these concerts,
Yeah.
it was wide open.
Oh, the word's out?
Yeah, word's out. There
There you
were
go.
only a handful of empty seats.
No shit, kidding. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Did you catch me not saying that word? I kind of pumped the brakes on a swear.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
I said no kidding. That's a new way of saying that.
So what'd you do?
So that same night, I went to see a 4-band set at a kind of a downtownish Minneapolis bar that actually one of my kids plays in the band. It's a new band for him, but it's got people that he's played with in other bands before, and some of these kids are somewhat, they've got a little bit of following in the local scene. And it was they were supporting a band that was called the main band was called Victor Shores, who's a fun kind of a punk kind of, I don't know, they're it's hard to pigeonhole them. They're kind of, I wouldn't call them pop punk, but I maybe power punk, but kind of feel good music too at the same time.
Are they a band that's been together a while, or are they?
They've been together probably over 10 years.
They're not like the other ones that different members joined over time, or
no? These guys have been together for like 10 years. They came from. This is getting boring. So they came from North Dakota. They came to the cities. They got into the scene with the same scene my kid is in, and they've been friends ever since. But it was good. It was a good local show. $15. I think we should always talk about how much it costs to go see music, because you can go see good stuff without paying $400 a ticket or whatever. So anyway, because who's coming to town? Is it Lionel Richie? And the tickets are like just ridiculously high. We were talking about it at that show I went to. And I'm like, oh yeah. On my podcast, on episode 1, we talked about Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, $800.
Yeah, and I made that up. I can't believe that actually happened. But anyhow, so it's been a great 2 weeks. So you were saying something to me earlier in the week about guilty pleasure bands or something like that.
Oh yeah, preparing for these, we try to come up with an outline. And then we talk about it.
We're going to start that next week. But anyhow.
Now I'm confused. But anyways.
So are the people listening.
I came up with, I was listening to the radio. I don't know if anybody listens to strictly song radio. But the Molly Hatchet, Take the Highway came on, and I go, wow, that's great.
It's not Molly Hatchet.
Oh.
Holy shit. Marshall Tucker.
Thank you.
We talked about this a minute ago.
You know how bad I am.
I'll say Molly Hatchet.
Episode 1, I told you that I got to do this before dementia completely sets in.
Well, we better hop to it there, old man, because...
So we might get 3 episodes in before I'm gone.
I'm not sure we're going to get 2 in at this pace, but...
But that brought up 70s albums that you wouldn't expect that I would like or you would like.
Okay.
That people are kind of... And I came up with 3 of them, and Jim...
Let's hear them. I have a bad memory, too. Tell me one of them, I'll tell you mine, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, the first one, my favorite one, it's like greatest hits of Supertramp, Breakfast in America, 1979.
There's nothing wrong with that record. That's a phenomenal record.
It is.
It's got the Waitress.
Yes.
Is that New York City in the backdrop?
Yes. But I think they're one of the bands that did not have a lead guitarist.
Ooh. Holy crap.
They had a keyboardist, kind of like Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yeah.
Bass player, vocals, and drummer.
That's, I think you might be right. I hate to eat up dead air thinking about that, but that's a solid record.
That is.
So we went to this long story about how I wound up in Florida in 9th grade, but we hung out with this family.
Candy from a stranger.
Yeah, no. So I grew up in Rochester, and there was 2 Dave Dunns in town. All right, my dad, one of them, and there was David F. Dunn and David J. Dunn.
Although we weren't going to use our names.
Oh, well, whatever. I think both of those guys are dead. So I'm not going to say what my last name is, but anyhow, crap. Yeah, well, it's an early episode. No one's listening. But they became friends because they kept getting each other's mail, right? And then David J.
Good one.
Nice save. They moved to Florida because he was an IBMer. And they moved to Boca Raton. Is that how you say that?
Yep.
Boca Raton. So we dragged the camper from Minnesota to Florida. That's a fun trip with a lot of stories along the way. But we got there, and the oldest kid of the David J. family had just gotten out of the Army. And this guy had some great stories about certain pharmaceutical discoveries of that era that were not, anyway, you get the idea. But he was a big fan of Supertramp and the Tubes. Do you remember the Tubes?
One of the best concerts I've ever went to.
Yeah.
Their stage show, they're better live. Their stage show is phenomenal.
What was their big, was it like, what do you want from life or something like that?
No, what's that? Can't touch, but.
Oh, that was a pop song. I'm talking the early stuff, like the stuff that we were listening to was really out there, and it was like, wow, this is really cool stuff.
I'll have to go back and listen.
So you consider Supertramp a guilty pleasure, and I guess especially if they didn't have a guitar in it, that would be kind of like you'd have to defend that. That's not real music. That's just keyboards, right? But they were such a vocally driven band that.
But there were a lot of bands like that. I think the Cars, most of their songs did not have a. Rick Ocasek played guitar, but I don't think he was a lead guitarist.
I can tell you right now, I can name 4 members of the Cars.
Wow.
Can you name 2?
No.
Rick Ocasek, who was kind of the front man, but Benjamin Orr really sang a lot of their hits.
The bass player.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who died in very unresolved circumstances. Let's just say he went on a boat ride and never came back. So, yeah. The boat came back. He didn't come back. So, something bad happened out at sea with him. Then there's the lead guitarist is Elliot Easton, left-handed guitar player. And the Cars had great guitar solos. I think you got to re-listen to your Cars there, my friend.
Oh, I will. Maybe I'm thinking of a different, yeah.
And then there was another guy whose last name was Hawk, and I almost said Ethan Hawke, but that's not him. But anyhow, I can name 3, I guess. But how did we get into the Cars? Oh, because of Supertramp.
Yes.
We decided that we would, last time that when we did episode 1, we would crack our first adult beverage when we cracked the mics. And this episode, we didn't do that. We started earlier, and I think it shows. So, my bad.
You know that death by, I don't know, suspicious circumstances?
Yes.
The Iron Butterfly guy, I think it was the Iron Butterfly guitarist, that he became a scientist, an engineer, working with the government, and somehow his family says his car was ran off the road because he was trying to let some secrets out. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. Are you done?
Yeah.
That's a really fascinating story.
That was something that people wouldn't know.
You know what he got?
What?
Snitches get stitches. And but apparently he got ditches. Oh, snap. Anyhow, let me tell you about since this is going this direction, you asked for my guilty pleasure album from the 70s. And it's interesting you bring up Iron Butterfly, which is a very heavy...
In the Garden of Eden.
Inagata Vida, I think is what they said it, because the guy was so hammered when he sang it live.
No, when he called the producer.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, well. So
Get your facts straight.
That's I listen to VH1.
If you're going to snore into the microphone.
That wasn't snoring. That was fake snoring, Mark. I wasn't really sleeping. So,
still very hurtful.
But yeah, Iron Butterfly, acid rock, very heavy. So that ties into my guilty pleasure album from the 70s in a way. Mine is the soundtrack to the movie Grease. I'm not shitting you. It was so good. Honestly, it's like Frankie Valli, Barry Gibb wrote a ton of it, just so you know, of the Brothers Gibb, a.k.a. the Bee Gees. So yeah,
I was always an Andy Gibb one.
Oh, how couldn't you be? It was absolutely dreamy. Okay. You have to procreate with either Sean Cassidy or Andy Gibb, or the civilization dies. Who do you go for?
Andy Gibb.
Yeah.
Because Sean Cassidy was starting to lose his hair too much.
Wow, you really thought about that, didn't you?
Wasn't he in the Hardy Boys television show or something?
Or something like that. Yeah, he and Parker Stevenson. Why do I know that? I got no reason to know that.
Because you do love him.
Because you know why? Because all the girls would read Tiger Beat magazine, and I wanted to be relatable, so I would spy an occasional article. I knew that it was pronounced Leif Garrett, not Leaf Garrett.
How did those magazines even prosper with those?
Before the internet, that's all you got, buddy.
Oh.
Think about it. Like if you lived in a little town and you didn't get Tiger Beat magazine, you might as well be Amish.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Also, not that there's any Amish people listening. Or are they?
Bobby Sherman. He'd be on it, on the front.
Bobby Sherman. What was this? He had a big song. Also, the Partridge Family.
Yep.
Love the Partridge Family. That was one of those Friday night shows back in the day.
Yep.
Brady Bunch, Partridge Family.
I remember the Odd Couple coming on during that.
Odd Couple was a little later at night because it was a little racy.
But it was later after the kids' shows.
How about Love American Style?
That was way racier than Odd Couple.
Yeah, that was
just
woo. TV version of the J.C. Penney catalog there. I heard this is not good radio or whatever this is, but this comedian, his name is Dan Mintz, and he goes, when I was a kid, we didn't have, Playboys or anything like that, so we would just have the Sears catalog. And he goes, now that we got the internet, it's so much easier because I just go to Sears.com. I told that wrong. But anyway. Guilty pleasure, this, that.
Well, you were talking about Grease.
Ooh, I hit the table again. Yeah, Grease. You saw the movie? You liked the movie?
I walked out of the movie.
You did not walk out of a movie.
I did.
I know you. You're the cheapest guy I know. Did you get a refund?
No, I was with a bunch of high school guys, and we went to the movie.
Oh, is that part of the act that you don't like musicals? Did they buy it?
Yes, they came out with me. I shamed them into it.
Hold on. So what you're saying is there weren't any girls there?
No.
Oh, well, that fits the narrative. So that's fine.
Why would the guys go to a movie like that, a musical?
I went with a friend of mine, Audie, we'll call him.
Yeah.
And it was up north. We were up north on vacation. Just a couple of guys in the junior high.
A couple of guys junior high went to Grease.
Went to see
and you're calling me.
Well, here's why we went to Grease, because that was the movie in town. It wasn't a Cineplex.
Well, don't go to a movie then. I mean, that was bad.
Where else are we going to make out? Oh, wow. Sorry. What did I say its name was? Anyhow, yeah. So, you didn't like Grease because it made you uncomfortable. Because you can't embrace that side of yourself. You know what side that is, Mark? It's the inside. It's the It's where your heart beats.
You know, I'm not against musicals. I thought that was poorly done. West Side
Really?
Story.
At age 15, you thought that was a little heavy-handed, Mark?
It was too light and fluffy. It wasn't going to win any Academy Awards.
It was too cookie cutter narrative, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, all I know is Summer Lovin'.
Can you name all the songs on there?
I don't think I can.
So you really don't like it? No.
Wow. I was raising my hand not to strike you, but to count the songs. But now that I can't count any, I might strike you anyway. I remember. So I think my favorite. Well, I can't really say the favorite because it depends on mood. I do remember this. So one of my favorite things that stuck with me from it. There was a Partridge Family had this album. I think it was called like Family Stories or something like that. But every member of the Partridge Family, they had like a little question and answer. It was like favorite color, this, that. And Shirley Partridge, the mom.
Yep.
Anyway, the original, like,
Susan Day.
No, that's Susan Day
Well,
was
I mean,
daughter.
I thought she was a little bit hotter than the mom.
Again, no one's buying that. You were into that tambourine playing youngin', Chris, whose birthday was the same as mine, the little one, the Chris something or other.
Wow.
And anyhow, but Shirley Partridge, it was like favorite color, and her answer was what?
Blue, no green.
Depends on mood. I'm like, oh, aren't you a mysterious one, Shirley Partridge? So anyway, I heard she and Keith Partridge, her movie TV star son, were getting it on. That's kind of fun. Didn't you hear that?
I did not, but I thought the Greg Brady and Mrs. Brady were.
Oh, maybe I got my sitcoms wrong there.
You know, they might have both been doing it. You know, Hollywood.
Totally. That's pretty funny, Mark. So, what else were what were we just talking about?
Favorites, music. You were doing
the guilty
Grease.
pleasures. Yeah. Oh, I was thinking that.
What was the name of the drummer on the Partridge Family?
Oh shit, that was the kid, wasn't it? Chris.
Yeah,
Something or other.
Well, you said the girl was Chris. I don't remember those.
No,
two
Chris
names.
was a boy. I was implicating you with as a homosexual.
See, it's good to be naive. I don't even know when I'm getting slammed.
Spell naive right now.
And naive.
And why? So, little known fact that there's a group of studio musicians in Hollywood or in L.A. called the Wrecking Crew. Are you familiar?
Yes.
Yes. And the Wrecking Crew did all the Partridge Family. So Susan Day wasn't really playing the keyboard at like mid-thigh level. She was playing the keyboard like the Nirvana bass player played bass. It was like, well, if I could reach the keys, it was too low. Come on.
The Wrecking Crew also did the music for Pet Sounds. The Beach Boys.
All the Beach Boys. Yep. You know who one of the best guitar players to come out of the Wrecking Crew?
No.
And who I'm finding out is, and I can't say he's underrated because people that know what he can play, Glenn Campbell is an alarmingly good guitarist.
Oh, yes.
And he was in the Wrecking Crew. And then he had the vocal chops. And I don't know. I don't think he wrote his songs. I think a lot of those guys didn't write their own songs. Because I heard him play Wichita Lineman. Wichita County Lineman. And he thanked the writer of the song. Like Taylor Swift doesn't write her own songs. She might write a couple of them, but there's people in Nashville that just...
Well, that's how Neil Diamond got his start writing songs. And then he said, I could do better than that. I'll just sing my own.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, good for Neil Diamond. By the way, it's funny you should say Neil Diamond. I saw a video recently of a young Neil Diamond. Holy cow, is that a good-looking chap.
Very nice.
Whew. He's like Chris Christopherson good looking.
But then you think about Barry Manilow and how the women were fawning over him, and he was singing Mandy. And
you got a problem with Barry Manilow? Here's what I'll say: is if the videos were as big a deal then as they, hold on, let's do that wrong. So the 1970s music is, I think, bar none, the best decade for music.
I would agree.
You didn't know half the time what these guys looked like. You just heard them on the radio, and it was like, wow, that's great. It was the first time you saw Neil Sedaka. Weren't you really let down? but weren't his songs great?
Yeah, they were.
He wrote the songs. No, that was that very I effed it up. Sorry. Yeah, and like Leo Sayer.
I don't recall seeing what Leo Sayer
Leo Sayer looked just like Richard Simmons, in my opinion.
I remember the afro, and that's about it.
Yep. Who sang, I heard this today, I should probably just Google this and not waste everybody else's time, but I think it's Neil Sedaka, but it's, I can't smile when you, I just can't, something without you. I'll look it up. Next episode. Oh, hey, a little bit of housekeeping. We talked about a movie scene where a guy from Fast Times at Ridgemont High says the way to score with a girl is you got to play I said side 2 of Led Zeppelin, and he said side 1 of Led Zeppelin 4. And then in the next scene, they proceed to play
Kashmir.
A song not from Led Zeppelin 4.
Right.
Which I guess it doesn't have to be, but continuity. Hello. Get it together.
During the first episode, you were talking about the In Through the Outdoor, and that went right over my head the whole time. Not till I re-listened to it.
Do you get it now?
I do.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
but I'm just not that smart.
I thought that...
that was so highbrow.
Do you know how many years passed? I didn't get the significance of that. It's like, well, no, I guess I was doing it wrong. Anyway, it was not a how-to. But anyhow, moving right along. So the band-wise, I thought I would, and I thought this would be a good name for the episode because it would get people to want to listen. Because I think I want to tell you, because I don't think you have one, but, actually, I think you do. Have a band that you find is very overrated, but I think, underrated, my bad. I think the most underrated band that I can think of from 1965, for my whole life, 64, look it up, public record, is ELO.
Yes, that is a very good one. I've been trying to rack my brain, but I don't know if I can beat that one.
Because there's not a bad ELO song. I mean, some are a little weirder than others, but they got hits for days.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your style of music. It's not for everyone, that type of...
But the songs hold up.
They do.
They'll get someone who likes country will like their song. And you can't say that about some bands. That'll be like, ugh, I just don't like that whole sound. Their sound is so varied. They're it's like,
right.
Lightning and never strikes the same place twice.
I guess Air Supply would be mine.
Underrated?
Oh, love, I'm so lost without you.
Oh, keep going. This is good. I don't think anybody's picking up. A little louder. Air Supply. I'm trying to make sure the door isn't locked from the inside upstairs. What? So yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not a big Air Supply.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like ABBA, very good, but they're not underrated. ABBA's got their thing. Air Supply. I mean, I don't think their catalog is big enough.
Well, it's like what's the cop movie with Will Ferrell? The other guys.
Yes.
When they talk about
LRB.
Yeah.
Oh, Little River Band. Oh, yeah, but they were, for their people that like them, they're more mainstream than ELO.
Yes, they are, but I don't think they filled arenas when they played.
I wouldn't want to be around that many LRB fans. I think Little River Band Reminiscing is one of the top 10, like, prettiest songs ever written. I don't go pretty a lot on songs. You want to know, I think one of my favorite, I shouldn't say it like this, my favorite song that no one's ever heard of is Steve Forbert. Right away, have you heard of Steve Forbert?
No, wasn't that the video game, Cubert, jumping down the...
Why do you have to hurt me?
Sorry,
so
go ahead.
There's a song called Romeo's Tune. They used to play it on KQ all the time growing up. Steve Forbert, look it up. It is.
I'm writing it down right now.
Okay,
Romeo's Tune.
Romeo's Tune, yeah. We'll play it right after this. Maybe we can use that as our bumper music. We need to incorporate some of that kind of stuff. This has got to suck for the listener.
It's not public domain, so we can't.
Well, we'll just cover it. We'll get the keyboard. We'll get, you got your recorder from high school or elementary school?
I do. I got a kazoo. Kazoo? Is that what that was?
Kazoo? Fred Flintstone's friend? Anyway, yeah, that is such a, now that's a song. Also, half the songs by Dire Straits I never took seriously.
Oh, I've always been a fan of Dire Straits.
Like, what's the one? Is it Romeo and Juliet? That can't be the name of the song.
No, but...
A Love Struck Romeo.
Water Love.
Tunnel of Love.
Is it? No, that's Bruce Springsteen.
It's not Water of Love. It's Tunnel of Love. Two people can have the same name of a song. Think about the Star Spangled Banner. Look it up on your phone. I'll cover for you. All right. Can I tell you the most overrated band, I think?
Yes.
I don't even got to think about this one because, well, there's a lot of overrated bands. I know that you're not a Kiss fan. Well, you can talk about that later. But what does that say? Water of Love? Get the hell out of here. Wow.
Tunnel of Love was Bruce Springsteen.
There is no way that is real. But Mark just showed me on his the thing that looks like a phone that it's called Water of Love. That's dumb. That sounds like a Christian song. Not that that would be dumb. It's Easter tomorrow.
Calling Elvis. Another great tune. Dire Straits. But go ahead. You were saying something.
Wasn't I just saying how much I love Dire Straits songs, and you're throwing out all these and telling me I gotta work? What about the Sultans of SWAT? what about that one? Or Money for Something?
Roller Guy.
That's not even funny. All right. Well, my little, it's like the bingo roller, you know, my brain's nothing, no balls are coming out. So, all right. So
your overrated band.
My overrated band. I just don't get the Moody Blues.
That is so hurtful because
Nights in White Satin.
But
wow, what a rocker that is. That song.
You got to throw out the playlist of the rock stations back then.
Is it like diving? You throw out their best song and their worst song and take the middle ones? Because that's the only way they're going to have a chance. Do they have more than one song? Because according to
they had
Rock
Nights
Radio,
in White Satin 1, Nights in White Satin 2,
Water of Satin,
Tunnel of Satin.
Whoa, hey, I might check that one out.
Wait, that was a movie.
Well, it was a VCR. Anyway, what else we got, Mark? I mean, we're talking about... You don't like Kiss. So why don't you tell me why you don't like Kiss?
Oh, that was just overrated. I I'm getting so worked up about Kiss. I can't even think and speak. But I was never a fan of Kiss.
That's okay.
They were just, to me,
But that doesn't mean they're overrated. That just means you don't like them.
No, but they weren't great musicians. They were putting out pop rock. And if it just wasn't...
Are you too cool for that, Mark?
And they put makeup on. I know you like putting makeup on, but I don't think that's...
I like putting makeup on you before we do our show. I think your lipstick's a little crooked. Here, do the thing with the tissue. Do that thing.
But I've never been a big Kiss fan.
Well, I think that there's a few million people in the Kiss Army that would want to beat the living crap out of you for that.
No, but they knew how to market and how to draw people in.
You know what they did? They gave the people their money's worth.
They did.
So you're a band that you find is overrated, and I tend to favor. Or actually, growing up, I'm kind of over them now because they stopped playing music and they stopped being good live about 10 years ago at least. But Rush used to open up for. So what Kiss did, they're like the big showmen, right? They kind of knew how to promote and all that, and they heard about Rush, and they called them Canadian Zeppelin. And they said, we're going to tour Canada and we're bringing them with. We're going to have them open for us. And Rush described Kiss as in, hey, they did a lot of stuff we would never do. But you know what they did? They gave everybody their money's worth every single night. And they learned a lot from that. And Rush subsequently put on 3-hour shows. Like, that was the first band I ever saw without a warm-up act. Initially, they would have warm-up bands, right? And they would play for an hour and a half or whatever. Then they did these guys were getting old, too. And they would play 3-hour sets with a little intermission in between. But it was like, you didn't walk out of there thinking you got ripped off by any means. So, anyway, wow, this is really grinding to a halt.
Well, that's like Springsteen. I mean,
did you ever see him?
I haven't.
Neither have I. There goes all our credibility on music fans.
Growing up 70s, he was the king of coke because he would do those marathon concerts.
I never heard of him as the king of coke, but...
I don't think he did it, but he was just so energetic and he would just go on for hours. That's
Springsteen, for me, is an example of a band that I loved growing up, and then just have zero interest in right now. He really, and I think, it's his right to do so, but he gets so stinking political with his songs that they just stop being fun. I like songs about cars and girls, right? And that's, I think, what was his bailiwick. I think means that's what he's known for or best at. But anyhow,
I can separate, just like who's that?
But then again, the Clash is great because they're political. So I got to pick a horse or whatever. But I just prefer. It's like Johnny Depp. I like him in his movies, but I don't give a crap about what you do outside of outside of work.
Yeah, who's the brown guy that used to hit his girlfriend?
The brown guy that used is his last name Brown?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't call them brown guys anymore. You can't. That's you
meant.
Oh, wow! I thought, man, we got a big problem here.
Sorry, I was just speaking.
James Brown, the singer. I don't know that he was known.
Not James Brown, but the
like Ike Turner.
No, he hung with James Taylor. And
we gotta. This is dead air. But anyway, what about him? You liked his music, but you didn't like the fact he knocked his.
He was very political. He knocked around what's her name in Roxanne with Steve Martin. Who is that actress?
Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
Neil Young is married to Daryl Hannah now.
Is he really?
I don't think Neil Young is knocking her around.
No, it was.
Here, just grab your phone and look up your made up stuff there. I'll carry it. What else we got here to talk about? What was the one thing that I thought was really...
Jackson Browne.
Jackson Browne was abusive?
Yeah, that was the thing that he was...
And that anyone's abusive is disappointing, but he seems like a pretty...
And he's very political, but not to my taste, but I love old Jackson Browne songs.
So Jackson Browne, I think...
That's the brown guy. Sorry.
Wow, yeah. Let's walk that one all the way back. So, Jackson Browne guy. So is it... I think it was Jackson Browne, and I think it was also like J.D. Souther. And... No, it wasn't Jackson Browne. The Eagles came up at the same time, and I think Glenn Frey lived in the same building as Jackson Browne.
You're correct.
And I literally saw this like yesterday. Glenn Frey was like, I really need to learn how to write songs. And I used to live like next to or above Jackson Browne. And I would hear like his teapot go off at 7 a.m. And then 10 minutes later, he'd be at his piano. And I go, what is up with that? He goes, I have to write songs, man. And that's how Glenn Frey was like, oh, crap, you actually have to work at this. So I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Could you imagine hanging out with that group? I mean, there's a lot of intersectionality of those musicians that even before the Eagles were the Eagles. And it's pretty cool. If you get a chance to watch like an old Eagles documentary, it's a good watch.
I don't have that artistic side of my brain working. I can emulate and play something that someone came up with, but I cannot think of something to do on my own. I can't come up with...
So you can duplicate, you can't create.
Thank you.
Okay, well, look what I got stuck with. I can't either. I mean, I wrote Stairway to Heaven, but I don't go around bragging about it. I can't play it, so what's the point?
Well, but you were one and done.
That's what they call me. Oh, my man. This is, I think we might have wrung the washcloth out of ideas on this episode, unless you have anything to add.
I do, but I could go on for hours and people would be bored. And
I agree with that. Well, we agree on something.
Finally.
Well, that's good. Well, we appreciate anyone that listened to this, and if you can just tell a couple thousand or so friends, that would be tremendous. Our goal is not to entertain, it's to make dollar bill. I'm kidding. I would like to make $1. I would like to make $2, one for each of us.
We did set up an email. Do you want to people can put...
Oh, yeah, totally. It's the Ascertainers, traditional spelling, at gmail.com. So if you want to drop us an idea for the show, if we get more than 10 that say quit, we will. But if you have any feedback, comments, notes, shout outs, let's start doing shout outs. So we can let's say you got an anniversary.
Don't people have to listen to tell us shout outs?
Yeah, I know. Oh, no. Well, let's say it's a shout out you're not proud of. Like, let's say it's like, I don't know.
Go Grease. It was my favorite movie.
Ouch, man. You know what? Don't do an email, because this guy, I'm telling you, doesn't even like the band Kiss. So anyway, we'll think of some other stuff. Thanks for listening, and I guess we'll see you next time. Mark, say goodnight.
Good night.